CJ Stroud spoke to the media this week. We all know what the big natural narrative and storyline is. This is Stefon Diggs after his acrimonious departure from Buffalo, facing his old team for the first time. But it's also two teams that, on paper at least, should be contenders for the Super Bowl this year. Most of America will be watching this game if they're watching CBS at 12 p.m. Central. CJ was asked, hey, how's Stefon Diggs fitting in?
It's been great. I think he got a bad rap, just by the media and like by people. But man, he's not been nothing but just amazing to this team and to his teammates. He's helped me out a ton, and as you can see, we're clicking more and more every game. So, I'm very happy for him, and I'm glad that he's finally having fun playing the game and doing what he loves to do because he loves football a lot. So, just really, really happy to be a part of his journey, and like just being around him has been real awesome.
He got a bad rap. You hear me? Buffalo area reporters. And to be honest, most Buffalo reporters would say that trying to describe Stefon Diggs and his time in Buffalo was kind of complicated, that there were broad stretches of time where it seemed like Stefon Diggs was everything the team wanted him to be. But over the course of time, as Tim Graham from The Athletic had phrased it, it seemed to be 1,000 microaggressions, whether they be on social media or elsewhere, that wore out his welcome. Look, I expected Stefon to get along just great with all these guys because it was the first year, because it's a one-year contract, and because people in Buffalo will still talk about how Stefon Diggs brings it in practice. He just works his butt off, all those things that D'Amico Ryans wants. As a player, his production on the field hasn't told the complete story. Nico Collins is obviously the WR1, or however you need to phrase it, on this offense this year. But Nico Collins wouldn't be getting that performance if he didn't have Stefon Diggs and or Tank Dell there to divide the attention of the defense. The Texans are seeing a boatload of cover two, more cover two than anybody else in the league. And what we've seen, and especially last week, where the Texans seem to figure some things out about how to distribute the ball underneath when teams are playing cover two all the time, is that Stefon Diggs still has a gravitational pull. He's going to pull defenders out of their zones a little bit and open up things for Daria Gumbawale or Dalton Schultz or Cade Stover. And that's what, moving forward through this season, the Texans are going to be seeing the same stuff every week. Next question, speak of the devil, was about Daria Gumbawale's 33-yard reception and whether that was evidence of CJ growing comfortable just taking checkdowns, taking the easy money underneath if everybody's going to be playing deep cover two shells all the time.
No, I think you're right. It was that. I mean, we were trying to, get behind the sticks and make a play, but they did a good job of taking all of it away. And, the younger CJ would probably still try to chuck it down the field and fit in the window. But, I just took the check down, trusted in Dari, and, he made a heck of a play. So I'm trying to grow on my game as well, just like anybody else, just week by week, taking what the defense gives me, even if that's bettering the field for, punt. And then just being mature that way, like flipping field position, because the younger and like more like non-controlled aggression quarterback would probably take it down the field and throw an interception, and then you flip the field even worse.
And I think CJ, by young quarterback standards, has been really good at this, especially for a guy that wants to push the ball downfield aggressively. This is some of CJ and Bobby Slowick, I think, still forming a relationship and figuring out just when and where to be aggressive. All of it gets a whole lot easier if they stop committing so many penalties and if the offense could consistently run the ball. The decision-making is super easy. I think CJ is wired 100% to be a quarterback who's happy winning the game even if he throws for 75 yards, but they run the ball 40 times. If that's what the game plan or the game flow dictates that day. This is a really good test this week because this is the way Buffalo operates. Buffalo is going to sit back in cover two and cover six and limit explosive plays. They're very good at limiting the explosive plays. They concede the run somewhat. They're lighter in body weight. Because of the coverages they play, they're a little bit softer against the run. If you can run the ball like the Baltimore Ravens, I know it's a modern passing era and everything, but if the game dictates that your running back go for 199 yards, it's Thursday. Joe Mixon didn't practice today. I should have led with that, but just so in case you didn't know. Every Joe Mixon injury update feels like I just was told that I needed to be catheterized. No lube. Again, credit to Ryan Day and the staff there for helping him work on this. That final drive there, I never felt like CJ looked one bit panicked or hurried or anything. It was just the old story about Joe Montana in the Super Bowl when everybody else might be feeling some stress, and Joe Montana looks up and at the crowd in the Super Bowl and says, "Hey, is that John Candy?" I could totally see CJ looking up at the Super Bowl in 2025 and saying, "Hey, is that, I don't know who, Will Ferrell? Is that Will Ferrell? Is that Seth Rogen? Is that Keenan Thompson?" Keenan Thompson, that would be the one. I'm going to play the question on this next one because it's an interesting response by CJ, but you need some of the nuance that goes with it.
You mentioned throughout the offseason, you guys had a target on your back, how, a lot of you guys were leaning into expectations internally. You guys had high hopes for you guys. Obviously, the Bills are a team that, have been kind of in that ilk of trying to beat the championship. That's what you guys are trying to do. This is kind of like that first test of going against a team that's, in that vein that you guys obviously want to be in and can be in. So what's kind of been the approach going into this week? Are you guys made it bigger than it's supposed to be? Are you guys not? What's kind of been the approach this week going into this matchup?
You know the answer to that. No, I think every team in the NFL is good, so I don't really look at the Bills like, oh, they're this. No, don't get me wrong. They are a great football team. Like, they have done what they've done for a very good reason. Like, Josh, I can go on and on about the Bills. Trust me, they are amazing. But once again, we're football players too. We're dogs just like they are, so it's going to be a great matchup. I definitely got a lot of respect for them. Great defense. McDermott has a great philosophy on how he calls plays, and, they're playing really well together. And then their offense, of course, they're going to score points. Josh Allen is definitely a top premier quarterback in this league, and I'm a big fan of his. Watch his game a lot. So, just a ton of respect for them. But, I don't look at it as like up or down. You know exactly what I would say. So, yeah.
All right, he caught himself before any bulletin board material came out. And I don't think he was going to say anything that he wouldn't have said about any other team. I'm guessing that he was going to say something like, I don't look at the Bills like, oh, they're this big, bad, unbeatable team. You can't operate that way. And I liked what James Palmer said this week when he was on Steve Smith's podcast, where he said, last week after the Texans win versus the Jaguars, it was almost like there's no way you would guess that they would have won that game, because this team, just like the rest of the fans and the rest of us, know that they haven't looked the way they're capable of looking. They should have played cleaner football up to this point. Those close games shouldn't have been as close as they were, but they shot themselves in the foot. They made some key mistakes on special teams. And it's been way more potentially cardiac arrest inducing than it needed to be. And the other thing is, I know Minnesota didn't have the fanfare and the hype of the Buffalo Bills, but my God, that's a good football team. So it's not like the Texans haven't already faced a really good football team. Oh, the next one was fun. This was CJ describing his role in the trick play that yielded a Stefon Diggs touchdown. The Bills, by the way, tried their own hand at trickery last week. And you know how these things go. If it doesn't work out, it's the dumbest call ever. If it works out, then Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, is a genius. But here's CJ, who was running a route on that play on whether they had the option of throwing the ball to him or not.
Honestly, it wasn't even part of the play. I just was I seen him kind of get stuck up, and I was like, I'm going to take off, see if it throws to me. And I kind of knew I wasn't going to get it, so I just told the DB, gotcha. Like I grabbed two and freed him up a little bit. So yeah.
Okay, fun little part of that, and I'm glad CJ spoke about it a little bit. CJ was conspicuously bad at faking the bootleg on that, and that's not something he typically does. He's usually really good at executing the fake boot after he hands the ball off. And at first I thought, man, if that was designed to be a pass to CJ, then him looking conspicuously bad was actually a tell to the defense potentially, because they would think, okay, something's up here. Why would CJ not throw? But turns out that's exactly how it worked out. By having a conspicuously bad handoff and bootleg fake, the Jags defenders would have thought, if they were thinking, wait, that doesn't look right, something's up here, I better go cover him. And CJ pulled away two defenders, got a nice block, and Stefon Diggs runs into the end zone. So the diabolical mind games continue. Next question. Brace yourself. This gets interesting. This is about the offensive line, who CJ's always going to defend, but there's a really good little nugget in here that I found encouraging, or at least we'll listen. Listen for the nugget.
I definitely think they're starting to buy into, what our scheme is about, and you can see that week in, week out. Us just getting better up there, and I definitely do think like we're just on the way up. I know sometimes it may not look like that because you're getting 1 or 2 yard runs, but we're really close. So I'm just super proud of those guys for not, because I mean they've been criticized, and even we like our coaches even coached them probably the hardest out of they coach everybody, and they've done nothing but just look themselves in the eye and look themselves in the mirror, and just come up to work every day and work and work and work and work and work, and they're the reason why we win games, and that's point blank period. So just their ability to bend, not break. Like they don't really give up big plays. They have some guys who play their system very well. I know they're dealing with some injuries. But Ed Oliver jumps out on film, Vaughn jumps out on film, 50 jumps out on film. Like their backers play really good in the pass game. I think his name 31 Russell. Great DB, takes the ball away a lot. Got a lot of respect for him. And then DeMar's playing really good ball as well. So got some key components on that side, and definitely got some playmakers. So you got to be able to take care of the ball and be able to just move the ball and score points.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with him at the end there where he says they're the reason they win games. I would say the offensive line so far has been the reason the games have been closer than they should be. But I did like hearing that they get coached really hard, and that sometimes when you see an offensive line that's very active on social media and they give the side-eye emojis to any kind of perceived slight or criticism, you wonder, all right, do these guys actually get the severity of the situation? Do these guys get that they've single-handedly killed drives themselves with penalties? And I trust from that answer that yes, they do, and that they're being coached on it. As far as buying into the scheme, that could be taken a million different ways. I think in understanding exactly, to go back to the deception theme, man, the zone run and the zone run setting up play action is so integral to really getting this offense to work the way it should work. And they are close. The problem has been, you go back and watch every one of Cam Akers' runs last week, it wasn't necessarily one single guy that was consistently screwing up, but there was a screw up either by the offensive line, a tight end, a fullback, who happened to be the tight ends, or British Brooks on one occasion. On any given play, there was at least one big screw-up, sometimes two. And they're close. And yes, Cam Akers could have done a bit better with his reads at times perhaps, but mostly by and large, a lot of those plays were dead in the water because of mistakes on the offensive line or in the blocking. The nice thing about Joe Mixon, dear God, please let him be available this week. Mixon covers up a lot of those mistakes. But to be genuinely fearsome, they just got to clean all that up. Versus the Bills, the thing that I'm actually optimistic about with the Texans' offensive line is that when they have to line up and block a four-man pass rush, I think that they're good enough at that. Kenyon Green's got to keep coming along. Shaq Mason has looked more like himself as of late. But it's the blitz and some of the movement by the defensive line that really has done them in this season. The Bills don't blitz a lot at all. They're going to sit and play bend but don't break defense. They're very good at it. It does make them susceptible to some getting gashed in the run game. So in terms of pass protection, I think the Texans will be able to get the quick game going. I think that the tight ends and running backs can be more involved as the Bills try to take the top off the defense, because they won't have to keep those running backs and tight ends in pass protection as much. But really, it's all about, can you capitalize on the easy yardage? Because it should be easy. When teams line up and play cover two, if you can run the ball competently, that's easy yardage. And then that puts you in position to use the arm on second and long and third and medium or manageable. So it's going to be, honestly, both these teams in the last 2 weeks have each had a clunker of a football game. This is going to be a hell of a battle. Really looking forward to it. I'm Seth Payne. Please like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. And check out the preview I'll have coming out tomorrow for this game.